Islam.
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 Rise and praises to Allah, the great God of the universe. Honor to his noble divine prophet, Prophet Noble Ali. Give honor to you all, Islam.
Islam.
Honor to you.
Thank you. The Holy Quran and the Moorish Science Temple of America, Circle 7. Divinely prepared by the noble prophet Jurali, by the guiding of his Father God Allah, the great God of the universe, to redeem man from his sinful and fallen stage of humanity back to the highest plane of life with his Father God Allah. Know thyself and Allah, the genealogy of Jesus, life and works of Jesus in India, Europe, and African land of Egypt. Noble Jurali, the prophet and founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America to redeem the people from their sinful ways, Islam.
Islam.
Islam will continue with the Moorish American prayer. All those who do not wish to participate may stay seated. Islam.
Islam.
Do so by rising and placing the east, with 5 fingers extended on the left and 2 fingers extended on the right. Islam.
Islam.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
The Father of love.
The Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
My guide.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
And by day.
Through his holy prophet.
Through his holy prophets.
Jurali.
Jurali.
Amen.
Amen.
Islam.
Islam.
You may be seated. Start and press and represent salvation, all seeing eye, our God Allah, the hand press of unity, the uniting of Asia. The Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution and Laws. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is Assistant Grand Sheikh in all affairs. If he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7, and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday the first man was formed of flesh, and on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No members put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live your life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of the said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name, to be recognized by the government in which they live in the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Jurali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet Noble Jurali, through the guidance of his Father God Allah. Islam.
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 Islam. The 101 questionnaires and Sunday school will be demonstrated by Grand Sheikh, Divine Minister, Lord Noble Nature Elbe, Islam.
Islam. Takbir.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Takbir.
Allahu Akbar.
Islam.
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 Rise in the name of Allah. Give honors to His Prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Give honors to all active Moors, all Moorish hordes increasing here in America. Give honor to all Moorish Americans, children, Moabites, true American citizens, even the foreigners. Islam.
Islam.
It's now a question and answer period. And I'm not going to read them traditionally, but I will test us as we go to make sure we know what we know and we are that what we know. Islam.
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 (101) According to science, how many days are in a year?
7 days.
100. How many days are in creation?
7 days.
99. How many days are in the circle?
7 days.
How many degrees are in the circle?
36 degrees.
360 degrees.
Yes.
And how many degrees is 360 broken down?
Can you repeat that question, please?
The answer is 9. Answer is 9. So 360 is not necessarily a valid numerical number. Islam?
Islam.
So if the answer is 9, what does number 9 represent?
Completion.
Completion.
You sure? Birth?
9 represents form.
She-Clip?
Death, rise and give praise to the great Father, God Allah. I honor the Prophet of Jali, founded the Moorish science of America, and honor the Moorish divine natural principles. I give honor to my grand sheikh, I give honor to representatives of the Moorish science of America, I give honor to all those who try to get overstanding what it is we have called to do. Islam.
Islam.
9 means death and resurrection.
No, sir. Let's deal with the first set of questions I asked. If there's 7 days in creation, then how can 9 represent born? If there's 7 days in creation, what does creation represent? Also, if somebody else mentioned the word completion,
Islam.
7 represents completion. So once again, we have not defined what the number 9 means.
Islam.
Brother Osman?
Islam. 9 means to give birth, bring into existence or give birth to.
So what would be the difference between giving birth or bringing into manifestation and the word creation itself?
There is creation. What is the difference?
Yes, what will be the difference? Because it sounds like we're saying creation is different from manifestation.
It is.
Well, I'm asking what is the difference?
When you create something, it's created from the spirit.
It's created from where?
The creation is spirit made flesh. Manifestation is from physical to physical.
No, the physical is an illusion. The physical can't create the physical. All the thought is the cause of it all. So it's the unseen that governs the seen.
I'm talking about the 9-month cycle.
Well, you can't even get into. We're going into science. We're not even talking about month. The word month itself is deal with a measure of time, which is still physical. It's still an illusion itself. So the month doesn't create the manifest. Something created the month. You follow what I'm saying? We measure time. We measure time by a cycle. So a month just represents a cycle, but it didn't create itself. So we're going to start at the end of the 101s and work our way back, as far as in thought and understanding. Brother Emmanuel. Yes, sir. Islam. Islam.
Islam, I rise and give praise to Allah. Honor to the flag, honor to everyone here. Islam.
Islam.
Now, in the 101s, it says how many days is in a week. It says 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say number 9 will be significant to me. The second day, so I would say it would represent it's part of a new week, because there's only 7 days.
But a week, once again, all right, let's go into let's go deeper into more science. Even though this is the end of the 101s, and the 101s is not a completion itself of Moorish teachings. It's preliminary. But even though we're dealing with the end of the preliminary degrees, it's really the first degrees. This is all part of more science, understanding self and being able to navigate in this earth cycle. We have to understand mathematics. It's a must. This is all part. You cannot understand more science if you don't understand mathematics. So this is why he keeps reiterating what the number 7 represents. And a lot of people make this mistake. You have a lot of people who speak about the number 9 and don't quite understand it completely. The Prophet doesn't tell you number 9 represents completion. Nowhere in his literature it insinuates that. What is Elohim sometimes called?
The 7 eyes of Allah.
The 7 eyes of Allah. So why the number 7 keep coming up? What is the Elohim?
Elohim is the 7 creative spirits that create everything that ever was, is, and ever will to be.
So if Elohim represents the 7 creative spirits that created everything that was, is, or evermore will be, then the Elohims created everything manifested. But if the Elohims represent 7 creative spirits, why were there only 7 creative spirits created? And who created the 7? Who created the Elohim? That's the question. How did the Elohim, or the 7 creative spirits, how did that come into existence? From more signs, how did the Elohim come into existence according to Moorish lessons? Anybody? Sheep.
It says in Allah's record, Allah brings forth the 7 spirits stood before his face.
No, sir.
That's not correct.
No, sir. How did Elohim come into manifestation? Brother Emmanuel.
The triune Allah bringeth forth the 7 things before the faith.
Islam. The triune Allah breatheth forth, and seven spirits stood before his face. Correct? So, once again, that's why you have to read all of the lessons to actually interpret things that you get on a preliminary surface. So you can understand and be able to cross-reference that with other scientific facts. So yes, the Elohims, or the terminology or the lessons behind Elohim becomes a allegorical lesson, but it's still based on a scientific fact. And it's telling you within the lesson, when it starts speaking about this triune Allah breatheth forth and 7 spirits stood before his face, that's not a physical demonstration. That's dealing with breath. That's dealing with air. That's dealing with ether. That's going into a spiritual or another demonstration that has nothing to do with earth or the flesh itself. But the question you have to ask yourself, well, why were only 7 created? And like you said, why is only 7 days in a year? 7 became the national standard. I'm going to just use that word national standard. Even though it's dealing with a spiritual level, I'm going to use the word national standard or earthly standard, or not even earthly, but a universal standard. That's a better term. The number 7 was chosen, or the numerical vibration behind 7 was chosen by Allah to be the universal standard for all things in nature. That's the standard. This is why you see it repeatedly mentioned throughout your lessons, because that is the standard, not just for what you would say Quran talk or Islam or Bible significance or allegorical. That's a universal standard. Universal. As above, so below. Here in the physical, and also on every other plane of life, which was chosen or ordained by the great God of the universe to be the standard for all things that comes into existence. For all other forms of life to be created had to be done through the vibration of the number 7. The vibratory rate of 7. So you're talking about 7 going into vibrations before you start talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on paper, or counting 7 physically. 7 predates the physical itself, dealing with vibration, speed, balancement. And through that vibratory rate of 7, all other things was known and manifested through that vibration. So it becomes the standard for manifestation, for birth. We measure 9 months of a cycle of a woman giving birth to a child, and we take that physical demonstration and say that 9 is the standard for all things in manifestation, and that's a misinterpretation. Just like we say that it's 365 days in a year, which is a misconception. There's only 7 days in a year. When you talk Moorish science, remember the denationalization of the Moors, and not just in 1774, but we've been going by different calendar, different thought patterns of the measurement of time for years. This is why they tell you right now, oh, well, the Mayans went by one calendar. The Aztecs went by one calendar. The Chinese go by another calendar. Every different nation has a different calendar. A different what? Measurement of time. Based on a more ancient interpretation of the constellations. Just like everything else has been diluted, have been taken from us, been mixed up, maps, geography, everything has been retranslated to throw us off time. So that means that the measurement of time is off. So that means that us as branded Moors, being Negro, blacks, and colors, because of the thought pattern behind that, means that we don't know the time spiritually. Not necessarily the clock, but the clock of destiny, the universal clock. It was to take us off balance, off your vibration, off your creative vibration points. That's your true mother. That's your true birth. So we disconnect from our mother, our true mother, our etherical mother. We disconnect or debase. And we don't know who our true mother is, which is our creation. And we don't know who we are, meaning self. So as we spoke about Friday night, how Negro, black, and colors are related to refugees and vagabonds, which means wanderer. This is a spiritual scenario of what being a vagabond or wanderer really is. We were manifested in the flesh, and from that time on up into an adult, and to understanding more science, we have always been wanderers. So the name that we just carried was just a name that represented our nature. That's why changing the name really does nothing if you don't really raise the vibratory rate within self altogether. Because you can change your name or proclaim a nationality and get a document, but still be off your square. That's why we use the term square. Because when you're dealing with that circle of creation, a circle and a square is equivalent. Once again, which is a vibratory rate. It's a vibration. So we're talking about the circle and the square consisting of 7 days, which is 7 creative spirits, because we also speak about degrees when we want to break it down. Sheikah said 9 degrees. It breaks down to 9, which will be 9 degrees. But we dealing with degree, a day and a degree is synonymous. So when we speak about days, you're just talking about degree. That's why when you hear people that understand mathematics, they speak about what's the day's degree. Or what's that degree? So when we say, well, what day it is, what we really mean is what degree are we dealing with? But it's a measurement of time. And if we don't understand true time, we will always be off balance dealing with time. And like I said previously, lower forms of life, being animals, etc., to some point, they don't speak a language, a human language. But they are more in tune with time more than we are. They're in tune with nature more than we are. And they don't have any doctrine. They don't read literature. They don't read books. Don't nobody teach them what time it is. Or, their interpretation of what they want them to know. They're not indoctrinated with a book. But they know the time. They know how to measure time. And they know how to harmonize with the universe or the seasons or the cardinal points. So this is what we're speaking about, the vibratory rate. They're able to vibrate on nature's level where nature speaks to them in the language that they can comprehend. We lost that ability. This is why more science is so important, because we have to regain that ability to function that way. We have to be more keen in our understanding of the universe. We call it more science. We call it that. It's not the only name for it. Universal science, nature's law. They're all symbolic. But whatever it is you call it, we have to vibrate on that level. Some of us know another school of thought dealing with chakras, which is still more science. But in that particular system, what they call it the chakra system, system is also synonymous with government. Not necessarily the people, but it is the people, but not government how you know it. It's still a system. The universe operates and functions on a system. All governments function according to a system. Even on the street, on a lower level, you hear people talk about, I don't want to get caught up in the system. They use that term, you understand how we understand that term on a lower level? But the system is not negative. We might think the word system is negative because most of us been a victim to the system, subject to the system some type of way, that particular system that we're speaking about. But the system is not negative itself. How you deal with the system becomes negative, but the word system is not a negative term. The universe itself operates on a standard system, and that also functions on the vibration of that number 7. The celestial system. So even the celestial, you refer to as the universe, the zodiac, the planetary system. Its creation, because remember, the Elohim created everything there was, or is, or evermore will be. It's going to keep creating everything. Right? According to our lessons, just coming from our lessons, which means that the Elohim created, or if you're not familiar with that term, the 7 creative spirits created everything that was, is, and ever will be, i.e. the planetary system. They created all systems. So you go down to your physical level, down to Earth, because Earth is one of your planets. They created Earth system, or Earth government. The government for Earth. All planets have its own government. All planets have their own form of life, their own life force that exists on each planet. this particular planet here that we are navigating on, this happens to be called Earth. But here on Earth, Earth functions based on the number 7. Earth was created based on the number 7. So it only can navigate itself. It only can function based on the vibratory rate of the number 7. 7 is completion. After vibration reaches 7, it becomes complete. It becomes finished. What happens the next cycle or the next phase after completion is regeneration. This is how electricity and energy operates, how it functions, how it works. It always reaches perfection or seeks perfection. God reaches perfection or seeks perfection. That's what God does. God always seeks perfection. The universe always seeks perfection. And after it reaches perfection, it goes to a next phase or next cycle of regeneration, or what we might refer to as destroy, build, destroy. You have to destroy. You have to go through that transition, is what that really means. To manifest or to re-manifest again. Because life is everlasting. That means that it was never created and never destroyed. Anything that has a beginning has an end, which is finite. So you couldn't have been born or created on your birthday, because that would mean that you're finite. But your physical form was created on your particular birthday. But man is not the body nor the soul. He's a spirit and a part of Allah. So back to that chakra system. According to the chakra system, the interpretation of it, how many chakras are there in the human body? Brother Jamal?
Well, it's 160 throughout the whole body, but it's 7 main chakras.
Islam. Just like the planets. And this is how we also misinterpret the number 9. Because once we get past 7, then certain planets becomes co-rulers for other planets. That's why in astrology they call it the 7 major ruling planets. There are more ruling planets than 7, but there's 7 major ruling planets based on the science and the fact of the number 7. They become co-rulers. Islam?
Islam.
Sheikh Clifford, you had your hand up?
Islam. The opening statement was, what was the number 9 symbolic of? And you just said that 7 represents completion, and then you're going into rejuvenation stage, which is death and resurrection. But you use another term for it. So wouldn't that be the same? 9 meaning 7 dealing with the principles dealing with the earthly or the planes they may manifest it. But when you're going up to the higher planes, it represents a rebirth or rejuvenation of things from the former things. So it represents actual spiritual awakening and a death to the mental understanding of what it is that you so-called say you have.
Islam. Well, 9 starts the new cycle, which is what 9 really represents. So 9 actually goes back to 1. And that's numerology. That's true scientific numerology. That's Moorish numerology, Moorish science, mathematics, or supreme mathematics.
So 8 was build and destroy.
Yes, that's one terminology for it. Or death and regeneration. Which symbolizes, even in, because we speaking about the government, right, or the physical government. In government, they symbolize that number 8 by the Scorpio or the Phoenix, which is on your dollar bill. So government, once again, the government, as you know it, is in tune with all of this. It operates on those principles. So they throw the symbols and everything at you as to say this is what created this. Even though we might refer to as this the government here, United States of America, whatever, but the creation of this is symbolic based on the 7 Elohim.
Islam.
They understand that. And high orders that run government understand that. That's how government was built. That's how cities was built. How they deal with the people is something separate. What's in their laws is something separate, or their codes or their policies. Yes, Brother Osman?
Islam.
Islam.
I just want to elaborate a little if I could.
Yes, keep it.
Once an entity reaches 7, which is perfection, or really reaches it, which is it's just perfection, it'll go to the build to destroy phase. And then it'll try to keep its existence. If it can't, it'll be destroyed and start all over. But if it keeps its state of perfection, it will go to born a self again in the form of a person or a child who were born a place, a government, different things. So this is where you got to check things. Once they think they're ready to put things into action, you really got to check it to make sure that it is positive. Because if it's not positive, you want to object to it right away.
Islam. And once again, it's all symbolic, like you're saying, and you mentioned the word self. And what we have to really understand is that these lessons are here only for the purpose to teach us how to govern self. That's what it's for. Even the Bible is all based on the numerical or the vibratory rate of the number 7. All scriptures all based on the number 7. But not just to be good symbolism, but really just to teach man to what? Know thyself. Egyptian lessons, history. Know thyself. Man, know thyself. All based on the same principle. Everything that's in a book form should be for the purpose of man, know thyself. If it's not, I'm sure you have certain, let me correct that, you have books that's going to teach you certain things as far as how to do a specific job, trade, comic books, science fiction. You got all kinds of books, which the purpose might not be the book is to teach you self. But when you're dealing with knowledge books pertaining to history, when you're talking about scriptures, things of that nature, they should be all the time a standard based on the vibratory rate of 7. This is why Noble Drew Ali put it on the front cover of our spiritual book. That's why it's there. It's not there just to be a good symbol or just to put some graphics on it to make it look interesting. It's dealing with more science. It's dealing with the universe. He's saying this is really how the universe operates. So a scientist, somebody who knows these lessons already, maybe they know it from another school of thought. That's why I refer to him as a scientist. If a scientist never heard nothing about Noble Drew Ali, never heard nothing about none of this, but just pick this book up, automatically they know what this book dealing with. Automatically. And somebody can put the number 7 there and it can still be questionable and say, well, they might know or they might not know. They could just be repeating what somebody else did. But now when you look at the whole demonstration of this Quran, far as what it says and everything. Number one, it says the Holy Quran. And the Quran is not pronounced or spelled with a Q. So they know, you might have different, groups or schools of thought of Islam, which a lot of people know don't deal with science. But now when you see it spelled like that, you automatically know that it's dealing with something different other than what most people portray it to be. Then it says of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The word science is in there. So once again, somebody still can be in possession of it, but really don't understand it. But now they know that the author of this book had to be on point. He had to know something to compile as much stuff as they did and put it on the front cover. Then you got the 7 surrounded by 4 bricks. Once again, a scientist knows exactly what those bricks is dealing with. It's dealing with the universe again. Yes. Quadrants, cardinal points, seasons. I mean, you can go on and on, about what it represents. So it's so much information and so much symbolism on the front cover of that Quran. You have to be guided properly before you go into it, because of the vibration of what is really going to be said in there. Most people are really not going to understand it. No different from any other spiritual book. The Bible, they picked the Bible doesn't have that type of symbolism on it. But once again, it's the same symbolism basically as this. Same vibration, the same intent is to teach man to know thyself. Teach him how to navigate here on earth. That's the purpose. I mean, the Bible will do that if you can go into it and harmonize with the lessons that's in it. If you can pull the science out of it, you can pull the astrology out of it, you can pull the more science out of it. It's all related. You have to be taught how to go back into the Bible. A person just growing up and just being taught the Bible from the westernized teachings is not going to be able to unravel that type of information. You have to be taught how to read the Bible or the Quran or any spiritual book. It's coded, which we all know. Even our Quran, the Moorish Science Temple of America, is written the same way. It's coded. You have to be taught how to deal with that. That's why we have preliminary lessons starting off to teach us how to go into this. This is why we starting off what we call the 101, which the correct name of it is the Quran Questions and Answers. The Quran Questions and Answers. Mm-hmm. So the 101s, how it was previously given to you, was in this book. But the answers to it is in this book. So you really have to study them and correspond with them in other texts as well to actually be able to answer these questions. So just like we spoke about the chakras, and we speak about the number 7, there's also can be interpreted 7 on different levels. So you have 7 in the physical manifestation. You have 7 on all planes. But you have 7 on the physical manifestation, 7 cardinal points on your physical body. But you also have 7 in your spiritual body. As above, so below. So although they could be closely related or have the same meaning of it or significance, but it's a polarity within itself. Quran goes into that as well when it spoke about the triune Allah breathe it forth through breath. Mm-hmm. And 7 spirits. It didn't say 7 physical beings. Mm-hmm. It didn't say 7 people stood before him. It didn't say 7 planets stood before him. it says 7 spirits stood before his face. Then it goes into a story that these 7 spirits moved about on the face of the earth. Right? So you still not talking about physical people, not talking about physical planets. They wasn't created yet. Talking about spirits, vibrations. So those vibrations moved about upon the face of the earth. Then it tells you that 7 others appeared. 7 other what? Not 7 other people. 7 other spirits. But what they really was it was the polarity to those first 7 that was created. So you have 7 in the unseen, or the spiritual as we refer to it, but you also have 7, which is the polarity. So you have the seen, the unseen. They say the unseen governs the seen. That's why we refer to that symbol as above, so below. Means that the system that you see here, there's a symbolic system to what you see that exists on the plane that's unmanifest, that you can't see. So there's a universe and a system going on outside of what you can see, outside of what you can comprehend. And the chapter 1 explains that of the Holy Quran on how all of that took place through the creation and the fall of man. When it speaks about the vibratory rate, the vibrations, how we debased ourselves from that vibratory plane and the physical appeared. How the physical appeared. That means that there was a system or life going on before this plane of manifest came into existence. Life already took place. It was already taking place. It was already life comfortable. It wasn't really a need for this physical life. It explains that. This only took place. This is not organic. It only took place because we had carnal thoughts and deeds. We, not people, but the ethers became dense. The ethers became murky. So you had an admixture of air, vibration, thoughts that took place that caused the physical to appear. And that's what we became the lords of. We became the lords of that, and we really think that we're special because we became the lord of this plane. But really, it's sad. The fact that we're here is through ignorance and disobedience. Other forms of life held their ethereal planes. They never fell. They never fell to the state or the thought pattern of man and the physical animals, etc. They held their vibration with the universe, with God itself, not him or her, with itself, which is a vibration. That vibration stayed on 7. So they held their ether planes where they never manifested in the physical and never had to experience this form of life like we have. This is why the lessons speak about the cherubim and the seraphim, who are your protectors, your guides. They rule the solar stars, right? They rule you. They don't rule you, but they're your protectors. Why? Because they held their ether planes. They didn't fall. So your guide cannot be of your state of mind or your vibration. Because if not, then you don't have that disciplinary action or teaching to try to raise you from the state that you're at. That's why prophets were sent to us of a higher plane, clothed in flesh, in the likeness of his brother, his or her brother, looking like us, etc., but really of a different state of mind. Because the prophet was sent to be our guide. It was done deliberately on purpose. A true and divine prophet, not just any prophet. Anybody can refer to themselves as a prophet. But a true and divine prophet is sent or ordained by that vibratory rate of 7, sent to the physical, summons to come to earth in different parts of the earth, only for the purpose to raise those people to a higher vibration. That's the only purpose a prophet is sent to us. That's important to know and understand, because some of us look at a prophet as an equal. As a prophet is a man just like I am. He bleeds just like I bleed. Therefore, I don't have to listen to that prophet, or I don't have to follow the laws of that prophet, because he's just like me. And because of that state of mind, we miss the message. We miss the lesson. We miss our blessing. That's important. Islam, Brother Osman.
Islam. Arise and give praise to Allah. Honors to His Prophet Noble Ali. Honors to Marcus Masari Garvey. Honors to my Grand Sheikh and his staff. Honors to the charter. Honors to the flag. And honors to our do. Islam.
Islam.
I want to count back just a little. Well, how you put it, the 7 Elohim. I can't remember the correct words, but dwell over the face of earth, and 7 others appeared. And you explained that those 7 others was the opposite, but they were the physical.
Yes. I don't like to use the term opposite, though. Okay. Even though that is relevant and a lot of people use it just for teaching purposes, I try to stay away from the word opposite, because it's really no such thing as an opposite. It's a polarity. Okay. Duality. Nature, that's how nature is. It works in polarity or duality, not really opposite.
Yes. And see, we supposed to be the strength of Allah, be manifest. That's why we go around saying that we gods, because we saying that we manifest, or we vibrate on that 7 ethereal plane. But we have to have love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice in us at all times.
That's
all
correct.
Time. When your girl get in your face and scream at you, and when she throws something around away of yours, all the time. You have to be in that state all the time. You have to learn how to build or destroy and start all over.
That's correct. Islam. Keep yourself in check.
That's right.
Circle your, and that's why we use the square and the compass as well. Islam.
Islam. Just a statement to qualify what you're saying. The Prophet says, "Thou knowest the chant of perfume, thy mouth to pass the delicacy. The eye which are sinners to watch for thee, but they can't distinguish truth from error." And what qualifies that statement is with Jesus and Morado together read the sacred scrolls. Verse 20 says, "From Allah on record book we read, the triune Allah breathed forth and stood 7 spirits before his face. The Hebrews called these 7 spirits Elohim. And these are they who in their boundless power created everything that is or was. These spirits of the triune Allah moved upon the face of the boundless space, and 7 others were, and every other had its forms of life." To verse 23, "These forms of life were but the thoughts of Allah, clothed in the substance of their ether planes." Verse 24, "Men call these ether planes the planes of protoplasm, herbs, of plant, of beast, of man, of angel, and cherubim." Verse 25, "These planes with their teeming thoughts of Allah are never seen." Let me read that again. "These planes with their teeming thoughts of Allah are never seen by eyes of men in flesh. They are composed of substance far too fine for fleshly eyes to see, and still they constitute the soul of a thing. And with the eyes of soul, all creatures see these ether planes and all forms of life, because all forms of life on every plane of thoughts of Allah are, because all forms of life on every plane of thoughts, are thoughts of Allah. And all creatures think, and every creature possesses a will, and in their measure has the power to choose. Islam.
Islam. That's correct. Islam. So we're still vibrating on the number 7, and numerology. This is more science. This is scripture talk, Quran talk. This is numerology. This is science. It's all related. And once again, we just, in a nutshell, refer to it as more science. And the reason why we say that is because those of us who understand what more means on different levels, we are the original man and woman. We are the first seeds, the first inhabitants of earth. We are the lords of the earth. So these lessons pertain to man. When you say man, know thyself, that man that you're speaking about is the Moor. This is why Allah, or God, sent scientific symbols, lessons, messengers, prophets, etc., was to teach the Moors. So this is more science. Not that we're not. Some people might think of this when they hear more science and say, okay, well, they saying that that's their stuff, or that's what they study, or that's what they teach. That's why they refer to it as more science. And that's not why we refer to it as more science. This is more, the 7 liberal arts, all of that is more science. Hermes principles, whatever you want to call it, that is more science. Masonry, that's what you want to call it, that's more science. Religion, true religion, more science. It's all more science. It's just categorized. You want to call it Egyptology, it's more science. Buddhism, that's more science. Wherever you want to go with it, it's all more science. What's not more science is the merely ideas of man. Westernized schools of thought is not more science. Falsehood is not more science. Most European psychology is not more science. Doesn't mean that Europeans don't teach the truth or say the truth, because a lot of them do. But when I'm using the term European psychology, it's different. That's the difference. That's not more science. And that's why we were cast out of the holy city, because we accepted the teachings that were not more science. You know it in another term, coming from the Quran. Speaks about we were cast out of the holy city because we accepted their teachings. Who is there to Europeans? That's the teachings we accepted in the physical. We still do. Send our children to school. Our children are accepting their teachings. We watch TV, then we're accepting their teachings. Doesn't, even if you're watching BET, you're still accepting their teachings. That's not more science. That has nothing to do with you. Maybe people that look like you might be the ones on there, but really, that's not you. That's not Moorish education or Moorish entertainment. Or if you want to erase that term, if you're not comfortable with it, that's not the original man's entertainment. That's not African entertainment, if you want to use that term. That's not Egyptian entertainment. Guarantee you they wouldn't watch that stuff if they had it over there. It's still their teachings. And that shows you how ignorant we are that we don't really understand that. I'm talking about not us in this room. I'm talking about collectively, our people in general. That the only reason it's on there because we support it. And the only reason our people play those characters is because we support it. Our people will not play a character that we won't support. Once you don't support something financially, etherically too, it ceased to be. Because there's no energy given to it. That's spiritual. You got to understand that, because money is spiritual. Not fiat, not green paper in your pocket. The term money itself is energy. That's what it means, energy. That's what you spend, energy. What we're doing is going to work. Our labor is traded for energy. That's a whole different level. We won't get into that today. But going back to the number 7, you see on our divine constitution, this is a picture of our Constitution. And it has 7 acts or 7 articles that constitutes its constitution. Now that's just not by chance. So that's very similar within symbology to what's on the front cover of this Quran. So you have the number 7 written in here, and you see 7 disciplinary actions here, which we might refer to them as laws. But it's a standard. Remember I used that term earlier as a standard? Its own 7 was chosen strategically. He could have put more, could have put less. But the number 7 was chosen strategically because it harmonizes with creation and the universal's energy. We're what? Part and parcel to what? This said government, right? Being the government of the United States of America, the free republic. Well, the free republican government of the United States of America also has 7 articles. Pick up the Constitution of the United States of America. Or if it's written the U.S. Constitution, pick that up too. Because it's still going to have 7 articles. Even though you might refer to it as de facto, it still has 7 articles. After the 7th article, it might be a thick book, but after you get past the 7th article, it goes into the Bill of Rights, which is separate but the same body of law. Why? Because even if you want to use the term wherever you want to go with it, if you say the Moors or the original man created this Constitution, then somebody must have been in line or in harmony with the universal standard. And if you say the Europeans created the Constitution, it means they too must have been in harmony with the universal standard. But somebody knew what they were doing. Then you read the verbiage of the Constitution, how it starts off. You'll want, regardless of what they look like or what race you say they are, somebody was vibrating on higher principles. That's what you get from as a scientist. As a scientist, that's how you should look at these things. But our people don't. Just want to bring that back to our attention. Most of our people do not look at it that way. We start talking about Constitution, they say that wasn't created for us. That wasn't created by us. Some say that had nothing to do with us. They say, oh, that's for the white man. What that does is show their ignorance. They don't know how it was created. They don't know who it was created by. They don't even really know what it says. Because every time they ask by that same so-called white man, do they wish to waive their constitutional rights, they start talking about yes. That proves to you that they don't understand it and don't want to have anything to do with it. They just admit it in a lawful forum, what they call a tribunal, the court system, that they don't want to have nothing to do with the Constitution. You just agreed to be a slave right then and there. At that point, your verbal commitment to that paved the way for what they call legalized slavery. So off to the prison you go. As simple as that. That's how that works. And when you waive your constitutional protected right out here in the universal court of earth, you still in prison. That's your punishment. Just minus the bars. Because the universe, or I don't want to say the universe, take that back, but this society we live in is just a symbolic prison of the ones that you, if you've been there before, the institutionalized slavery, or if you see it on TV, it's just symbolic of that. Which is your hell that is spoke about in your spiritual books. You're living in hell. Which, on another level, is also symbolic of the state of ignorance. Not necessarily a place. Because heaven or hell is not a place itself. It's not a physical place, not a geographical place. It's a state of mind. And we're makers and creators of our own heaven or hell, which are duality or polarity within itself. They're not opposites. It's a duality. Like the Sheikh said earlier, you were given a choice. You were given the power to choose. Polarities are put here in nature for us to give us an opportunity to choose, good or bad, right or left. That's how this universe works. You make the choice if you want heaven or hell. And that's not after you physically die. That's right now you make that choice. And you can change that choice at any time, for better or for worse. If you conscious and you in that state of heaven, you can change it at any time and begin to live in hell. And if you living in hell, which is a state of mind, and you want to become conscious and change your living condition, you have an opportunity to change the hell and turn it into a heaven. That choice is only yours. That's the beauty of it. That's what Islam teaches. We have the ability to change our condition. That's the beauty of Moorish science. It teaches us how to change our condition. Not just tell you about it or make reference to it. It really shows you and teaches you how to change your position or your condition, or in legal terms, your status. Because that's how you're dealt with here in this society, in this system. You're dealt with by the terminology of status. So however you think in your mind determines your legal status. That means how society going to deal with you. How you think in your thought pattern determines how God deals with you. But how you physically manifest what you think in the physical in society means how you behave determines how society deals with you. And it's all related. It's all related. the Constitution I was thinking about this the other day. The Constitution speaks about double jeopardy. How that's unconstitutional, or other term, illegal. You know, meaning a person can't be taken to court and tried twice for the same crime. That's in physical society. But in a higher society, spiritual society, that law doesn't exist. Because a crime is a crime universal. As above, so below. So if you do a wrong here in the physical, you will be punished here in the physical, according to earth laws, constitutional laws, state laws, etc., by the courts of men. But you also going to be tried on a spiritual level by the 12 universal. I said 12 universal because you here in the physical, you know 12 being your 12 jurymen or woman. Right? Which is 12 for a reason. All dealing with the universal system we was talking about. It's not like they said, well, you know, we need 12 people to constitute a jury. No, that's symbolic. That's why it's 12. And that's why you have a right to a jury of your own national peers. That's why you got to understand the law, because it's symbolic with how the universe operates. So not knowing law means you don't know the universe itself. Because if you knew the universe or how it operates, you would demand the function of the universe in all your physical endeavors. Yes, Shikas?
What makes due process so vital.
Yes, it does.
Law. And you spoke about earlier how most of our people waive our constitutional rights.
Mm-hmm.
What the brother or sister was like, well, I want to retain those rights.
Mm-hmm.
They still don't realize that they're still in charge as a 14-member citizen. They're still going to be misused, abused, prisoned wrongfully.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and due process of law is important so that you won't be wrongfully charged. And it allows you to demonstrate your spiritual law in the courts of men. Really, because the courts of men are supposed to be judged by the Constitution, meaning the supreme law of the land, but it's based upon the laws of nature.
Absolutely.
You know, and this is what due process is so important for, is to keep equality and justice for all people. You know, so I just wanted to make that statement, because if you don't understand due process of law from a constitutional perspective, it makes it difficult for you to live, you know, on this physical and not be, you know, charged and abused by men. And this is what's going on today in today's society. Men have disregarded the laws of nature.
Islam.
Islam.
That's another term, due process of law. That term, phraseology is so heavy. I mean, it's very heavy. And you're entitled to due process of law because that is a part of evolution. Remember, you're put here, we're all put here for the purpose of evolution, to evolve. So that means that the way that God ordained this universe, He made it possible for man and woman to evolve. That's the significance of this. So that means that the laws that pertain to man and woman has to be based on evolution. The divine laws. This is referred to as a divine constitution. The constitution that governs these states here is referred to as the free national constitution. It's based on freedom. Say all related. All related. All related. It's all important. Like you see, we have this up here, the Moorish American flag. This is our flag. Then we have the divine constitution. Then we have the American flag. That's the Trinity. You got to understand that. That's the Trinity, which means that for in our scenario, in our condition, being branded Negro, blacks, and coloreds, we got to come through this Trinity.
Islam.
to constitute a true American citizen
Islam.
and to evolve. Even if you want to erase the citizenship on a lower level, to evolve itself, to reach the highest plane of life, gotta go through this Trinity. Act 4. Can you give us a brief demonstration of what we talked about earlier? Additional laws.
Additional laws in regard. Act 4, in brief, speaks about do not speak radical against the flag of the church or any religious organization. So with that, Noble Ali had gave us the character to be who we say we are, to show them that if a man knoweth, he must be that himself. So do like the Grand Chief speak about the Trinity. Moorish flag, which has been governed for over 50,000 years, are the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, which was entailed in that flag, the constitutional flag, which deal with all nations, dealing with those same principles. And we, as Moorish American, have been given that. The prophecy, the keys had always been in the hands of the Asiatic nation of North America, us Moors. The keys means the power of wisdom, discernment. So we have the power of discerning these laws, not just constitutional law, but religious laws, so we can apply them and get back to what we need to be. That's divine beings, Islam.
Islam. You go into Genesis in a Holy Bible, which is the Sun book. It deals with the study of man. Genesis talks about creation. Genesis means beginning.
Islam.
But within Genesis, the understanding that we need to have, it only is making reference to a certain era of time when it speaks about creation or the beginning. Because spirit doesn't have a beginning. So it's not the beginning of spirit or life itself. It's the beginning of physical man in this particular system. So it starts talking about creation and days of creation. All symbolic of that number 7. So as I'm trying to draw the image here, is that 7 is universal within everything that you deal with here on this plane.
Islam.
Regardless if it's, highlighted or not, it's already rooted in whatever you're doing. We have to harmonize with that and understand it so that we can benefit, preserve it, and try to teach others about the same scenario. A lot of our people are indoctrinated and don't understand this at all. And don't understand nothing we're talking about. Certain people hear this, and if they don't really vibe with it or try to humble themselves to understand, they start talking about we committing sin in here. They say we are cast out because of what we're talking about. And block don't want to hear it. Say we going straight to hell. So the thing is, once you understand science, you wouldn't make that statement. Because mathematics don't lie. Science don't lie. And once you see it, it doesn't matter what language it comes in. Doesn't matter what the people look like. Once you see it, you'll know what it is. As above, so below. You can get a telescope and look up in the sky, and you'll start to see the same symbolism as of what we're dealing with right here in the physical. Then you'll see where this really came from, or why it's drawn or symbolized on a document, why you see it in government, why you even see a lot of animals. If you deal with the zodiac, you'll see that a lot of the signs and things are animated by an animal, a deity. And on another level, a lot of your deities or your animals are symbolic for certain reasons. That's why certain animals are only native to certain lands. certain animals have a higher vibration than other animals. Some of them are considered, you know, in dealing with certain forms of life, you have them called insects, pesticide, rodents. Then you have other form of animals, and understanding that some of them, you even though the animal pig, and we all know that animal, and you know most of us, I hope, don't consume that animal. But everybody can basically draw up why we don't deal with a pig. But at the same time, there are other, I would say, lower self-vibration, also animals, birds, etc. that exist. That you got to understand spiritually why they exist. I would say no animal was really made for the purpose of being consumed by the human form. But there are animals that were created for certain divine purposes as a helpmate or assistance for evolution for man. This is why even in the terminology Brother Ozma mentioned earlier, I want a camel back off of your lesson. There's the camel itself is symbolic spiritually. That's why we don't just put it in our literature, but the more you go back into your forefathers' way of life, and that was their sidekick. That was their sidekick. At one point in time, only high-ranking officers of the nation was even allowed to have in their possession a camel. Now it's the opposite. Our people don't deal with them at all. Now, unless they're dealing with the circus or something like that, or the zoo. But at one time, nobody can even go near a camel. Even certain horses. If you even go into people who deal with horse breeding, horse racing, you understand that there's different breeds of horses. Thoroughbreds. Start looking at the bloodlines of them and the names of them. You'll see all Moorish terminology. They got a lot of horses called El Bay. Bays. Bailey. Horse ranches called Bay. The Bay Farm. The Bay Ranch. You start understanding what are they trying to make mockery of us? Is that why they do it? No. Because they stole your science. That's why they did it. When we stopped being Moors, they took over and started being Moors. That's what that means. Because a horse is another symbolic animal. A mare. Horse in Latin. Moor. Gotta understand this. All pertaining to Moorish science. Before there was any physical cars, vehicles. Yes, that was our transportation, but they were all symbolic. There's a lot of degrees within a camel. A lot of degrees. The camel can do things that other animals cannot do, according to its nature, according to this Constitution. A lot of things. Islam, you have something you want to say?
Yeah, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
We know that the Moorish scientific America was founded for the lifting and fall of humanity. We know that the Prophet began to teach us how to be live fall of humanity by teaching us to be ourselves, which is by teaching us Islamism, and he incorporated it in our religious form, which is the Moorish scientific America. So now, can you tell me, because I'm pretty sure this is a question that we all want to know, because like you said, people say that's the Moorish scientific, that's their stuff. So can you explain for the people under what authority that nobody get this power to give to the people? You know what I'm saying? Because we foster the Holy Quran, but the lessons that we have were here prior to the Quran being manifested because they're universal principles. So when Nobujali issued, when he said that any party desire, any more scientific American desire a charter, the Prophet had them to issue them. Meaning, he said, don't go to the state for no charter to do what we do. You come to me because the authority to do what we do was given to him by the great Father God Allah. Can you explain that to the people why the authority came from the holy books that existed, such as the Holy Quran, or any other sacred book that the so-called prophet that we honor today was trying to articulate to the people that the people didn't really want for themselves?
Well, that's a twofold question, and it's a good question because it's related to everything I've been talking about today. Well, remember, our authority, even if you want to say our authority is derived from the Great Quran, right? Well, some might look at the Great Quran as being the Quran of Mecca as the physical book. And it's not necessarily the physical book, because that physical book, the Quran, is based on the ethereal planes, the higher ethereal planes.
So,
and the authority comes from God, or the high vibratory ether planes itself. That's where the authority comes from, because as above, so below. So therefore, everything in existence here can only be governed based on a divine. It should be. So on a higher level, where you know how some people say, on other Moorish schools of thought might refer to the zodiac, and say we derive our power and authority from the zodiac, or the zodiac constitution. That was C.M. Bay's demonstration, right? All right, well, and then some people would say, well, you know, that's dealing with the circle of the animals and the zodiac and the planets, and you know, people start feeling, but really etherically, it's dealing with the astral plane and the authority on where the astral plane exists from the higher vibratory rate. So the authority really comes from nature itself, because nature itself sent us here to evolve. So therefore, the laws that was sent with man was to evolve, which is that's why we refer to this as the divine constitution. That is the only laws that man should and is supposed to go by. So that is God's law. God sent those laws here for us to demonstrate. And part of the Moorish Science Temple being chartered, and why that's necessary, because these teachings have been held back from us here in America. They have been held back from other nations and other parts of the world. The Quran speaks about that. They've been kept back from the outside world. And when the time, in due season, when Allah felt fit for these information, these lessons, these secrets, these sacred lessons to be freed, that measurement of time when Allah seemed fit, ordained Noble Drew Ali to come to North America to loosen these secrets and put them into the hands of the Asiatics in America. So therefore, there's a curriculum that goes along with learning these lessons and how they should be reintroduced into society once again in a structured form where it doesn't really cause confusion. You understand? So some people might say, well, it's the universal's teaching, so why they have to be in a curriculum, or why do they have to be dealt with in certain ways? And it's very important that we must understand this. Because if it's not done in a curriculum or a organized manner, the teachings will not do us any good. And we can further allow those teachings to be buried like it was at one time. That's why you don't see them in your history books, your libraries, etc. Is because what was done to the books, there was a time reference where once we was denationalized, all of our lessons was confiscated. All of our true Qurans and books was burned. The ones that wasn't, the master copies I should say, were taken to vaults. They were taken overseas. They was taken to the Tibetan hills. They were put into the hands of certain people in other lands. You got to understand that. So therefore, for hundreds of years during that time, so-called time of slavery, the universal teachings that we're talking about now has not been in book form. So therefore, to just hand it back over all at once with no curriculum to it could be detrimental to our learning process. And we could allow them, look, the Moorish Science Temple of America is 100 years old. It's shy of 100 years old come next year. So therefore, you got to understand, this is the oldest organization or government that has been teaching these lessons after the death of the Moorish nation in 1774. So after 1774, when this nation, when that last stronghold in North America existed, when our flag came down, our government came down, our teachings came down, our lessons, our books, etc., our way of life, everything had ceased in America after that particular stronghold. So now, Noble Drew Ali resurrected in 1886, started the first Moorish Science Temple in 1913 to reintroduce these lessons in this way of life. He created the standard for Islam being reintroduced back into America. There was no Islamic group or temple in North America after 1774 until Noble Drew Ali resurrected and opened one up in 1913.
Is that the reason why he defined in our Moorish literature Islam? So when we came to find out what our religion is, we were guided according to that principle of what he said, what true Islam is.
Meaning peace.
Peace.
So that's the only thing Islam means.
So.
Yes. But not necessarily the practice of what people were saying that Islam represents.
Islam.
That's why he says that we're going back to our old time religion of Islamism, which is a distinction from not Islam itself, but from the practice of Islam. The way people perceive it is a difference. So we all have the same proclamation of religion, but the only difference is the way we perceive it. So we're going back to that old thought pattern of Islam, or that old state of mind of Islam, which was our ancient forefathers' divine creed and principles. Meaning going back to an old measurement of time, of when we were gods and goddesses in the flesh, when we were kings and queens, when we were sultans, emperors, empress, etc. Before there were these modern day colonized terms and traditions and ways of life that has not done us any good, but has harmed us and indoctrinated us and kept us into a state of ignorance. So it's all related. Islam?
Islam.
Islam, any questions? Yes, Emmanuel.
Islam, when you talk about Act 6 and proclaiming nationality.
Yes. Nationality has several different meanings. Somebody asked me about this recently. We did an old questionnaire years ago for proclaiming one's nationality. And it's not mandatory, but we strongly suggest it because it helps you understand nationality better. There is no test or a requirement for you to proclaim your nationality, but we put there as a guide to help you. But I put in the question, what does the term nationality means? And I put from a biological meaning, from a lawful meaning, spiritual, etc. So a person just asked me this recently, like, what's the answer to that question? What's the difference between the two different meanings? And I said, well, really, that's for you to find out. I deliberately put it in there like that to raise that red flag in your mind so that you can know that there is a difference and go back and research it. I don't necessarily want to tell you the answer because then it will do you no good. But the reason why I'm bringing that forth is because you asked that question and it has several different meanings. So it's broad when we say one is to proclaim their free national name or proclaim their nationality. That is very broad that we don't have enough time to talk about. But I will give you a brief on where it's going in Act 6 when it says, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality. And we're teaching our people, or their, we're teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed. That's important on different levels. It's addressing all of the meanings of nationality, whether you're looking at it from a economical perspective, because nationality has everything to do with economics. We'll be talking about that next week. I'm doing a lecture in Atlanta, Georgia, and that's what the topic of that lecture is going to be. The constitutionality of economic security. The Prophet Noble Ali said we shall be secure in nothing until we have economic security, greater economic power. He says that our greatest plight is what? Economic slavery. So that means slavery has different meanings to it, or different phases, different degrees, etc. Every word has several different meanings. I mean, there's a lot to learn. When you come here and you're really going to accept this, it's going to be overwhelming and it's going to be time consuming.
It's long.
If you're really trying to get answers and really trying to study this for real. Don't be discouraged by that. Just, look at it as if, you're doing a good justice for yourself and your family. But within this proclamation of nationality, what we're doing is we're going back to that state of mind, that ancient state of mind of our forefathers. That measurement of time of when we were kings and queens. If you want to say Africa, that's just a reference point, but not necessarily Africa either. If anything, we're going back to Asia, going back to Canaan.
Islam.
Going back to the Holy Land in thought, not physically going back there, but in thought. To Mecca. And that's just one reference of nationality. We're going back to the state of mind of our ancient forefathers. Whatever activities and endeavors that they were into, however they lived their life, if you know it from the point of view of they built the pyramids. If that's the only thing you know, then use that as a reference or an example. That they had to be dealing with science, high science, to build pyramids. You don't see people building pyramids right now. It's still a state of art or a science that boggles the world. So if that's the only thing you know, use that as a reference. Not saying that we're going to teach you how to build a pyramid here, but we're trying to get back to that science as well. We do know that they definitely use the 7 liberal arts. We do know that. But we're trying to really grasp a better understanding on what they are. We know we can deal with, a numerology, mathematics, geometry. We can astrology, astronomy. We can go on and on about what was all used to deal with those degrees. You understand? But they had to be on another level, and even on a government structure, because governments built the pyramids. I want you to understand that. They didn't just come out the huts or whatever and just go over there and build a pyramid with no instructions. It took a government to build pyramids, villages, etc. That means it was order, because government just means order. Law just means order. There were laws. If you want to use the Egyptian pyramids, there was Egyptians or Egyptian law that had to be administered first in order to go build the pyramid. And they couldn't have been ignorant people. You couldn't just use any laborer to go build a pyramid. You had to have a foreman. You had to have an architect. Same thing, you know, to go build a building, you need to have this now. But all these people can build buildings and houses right now. But to build pyramids, you had to have people with high science and an order to it to go build something that will boggle the world. And they dealt with the universal's laws, because the pyramids are also grid patterns. They're chakras on earth, if you want to use that terminology. As above, so below. There's pyramids that you can't see. Even if you went to one of the physical pyramids that's still existing, that is a symbolic pyramid, a physical pyramid, of a pyramid that exists in alignment with a constellation, which is also in alignment with a higher ethereal constellation that can't be seen, which creates another system. But that's a whole nother level. To answer your question on the physical so we can comprehend in government, everything we do in government is symbolic of that same system. So by proclaiming our nationality, we're trying to harmonize with the Constitution and the way of life of the free national beings. Also, we're trying to be in harmony with the divine Constitution and its laws as a Moorish American. And we're also trying to harmonize with nature's law or God's law, etc. But the physical activities that comes along with it is rooted in the Constitution or interpreted in the Constitution of the United States of America. In order to be a true citizen of the United States of America, in order to be a divine citizen of the United States of America, in order to be a constitutional citizen of the United States of America, or in a lower term, in order to be a legal citizen of the United States of America, you must proclaim your nationality. That's a fact. That is a fact. This was once termed as the Union of States, or the Union State Society. Union means more than one coming together. States coming together mean body politics. Political bodies coming together is what that means. So the people make up the state make up the union makes up the United States of America. So for you to even say that this is your flag, you must have a nationality first. If you do not proclaim a nationality, profess a nationality, declare a nationality, then this flag does not pertain to you or your family. None of this pertain to you. The free national constitutional laws of the United States of America does not apply to you. This is a fact. What does apply to you is the black codes of the 1700s. That's what applies to you. And your entry to that was the 14th Amendment, which was prepared by 3/5 of all other persons. So you have the nation states here, and then came the 14th Amendment, which was the entry point for all other persons that wasn't a part of the Union States. That means that if you was or are a stateless person, then that means you came in on another type of citizenship, which is a privileged citizenship under the 14th Amendment, which makes you a stateless person, or another term, slave.
They call it ward, though, right? Ward state. Right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
It makes you a warder. You know what that term really means? Remember, all of these stars, and this is also another degree. You see, this is a star here, right? That's another subject for later. But these stars are actually symbolic states. So the states came together to form a more perfect union, to form the United States of America. The United States of America are different states. So when they refer to a slave or a citizen as a ward of the state, that means that you're a slave of one of these states. That means that you're not part and parcel of one of the states. See, our Constitution tells us that we're a part and parcel of the government of the United States of America. In order to be part and parcel of the United States of the United States of America or the government, you must be a party to one of the states. This is where your state citizenship come in at. Under the national constitution or the state's constitution, each one of these states have a state constitution, which makes the citizen of the state, like for example, we in New Jersey, we're New Jerseyans, right? Under the state's constitution, though, that makes us a free citizen of New Jersey, under the state's constitution, which makes us a part of the body politic of the United States of America. If you're a 14th Amendment citizen, or if you're referred to as black or Negro, then you're not part and parcel to the state. You're actually a ward of the state. That means you're subject to the state. It means you're a slave of that state. And your certification to prove that is your birth certificate. That's the note that seals the deal. That's what legally confirms that you're a ward of the state. That's what ward of the state means. And what Beanie Siegel and them came out with state's property. That same thing. State property. And you see how they were acting in the movie. That's Negroism at its highest heights. And if you act like that, then you become state's property, or other term, ward of the state. Yes?
There's even a clothing line, property of the state, state property, what is that?
State property.
State property, right.
Legally, that's a big blow. Legally. Legally. And like I said earlier, our people only act out this stuff, movies, videos, they only act it out because we support it. Our energy goes into it. So they're allowed to reap the benefits of this life, as far as the fancy cars, the mansions, the gold, all of this stuff, material stuff, because we pay for them to act like Negroes. And they become the standard or the trend for our children. And now we get mad because the children act a certain way, but we support their teachers. Islam? So proclaiming the nationality is the counter to all of this stuff that we're talking about. It's to help get back on the right track and for evolution in a nutshell. Islam? Islam. So I will bring the Assistant Grand Sheikh up for the duration of the meeting, and Sister Mawia will assist him in collection, and for that I say Islam.
Islam.
Takbir!
Allahu Akbar.
Takbir!
Allahu Akbar.
Takbir!
Allahu Akbar.
Salam, Moors.
Islam.
Truly give honor to the Grand Sheikh of this here location, for truly he is giving us direction for where we need to go. Islam?
Islam.
We know that the Most High to America was founded for the lifting of all humanity. And the Prophet began to lift all humanity by teaching them how to be themselves. by bringing us our religion of Islamism. Islamism has no birth date. It's an old-time religion. Law, governmental principles. This is the great God Allah entered the law for the governments of the world. Granted in all his being, and each by his nature conforms to his will. So, this being a divine movement, we must be divine beings. We must be ourselves. We don't know how to be ourselves, because we don't know ourselves. So, take advantage of these teachings that you have. The keys had always been in the hand of us, the Moorish American. Through those keys, we're able to discern. Through wisdom. The prophet said, from the womb of our mother, we're advancing raven, and the loins of our father, we inherit our instability. That because of our inconstancy of our nature as gods, deities. That's why the Moorish Scientific America was founded, to make us deities again, to usher in this new kingdom, a divine kingdom. See, the prophet said we must worship on our own vine and fig tree. We must learn to love and hate. We must learn to love instead of hate. Learn of our higher self instead of our lower self. Because we understand those who represent the higher self was cast out of the holy city. Niggas back and come to Ethiopia, and they accepted the teachings of the devil. They're the descendants of Adam and Eve. So the descendants of Adam and Eve are the mothers and fathers of the human family. Adam and Eve are the mothers and fathers of the human family. But we must be a part of the human family by nations, by becoming a part of a nation, a political society. The Moorish government is a political society where rules, laws, checks and balances to govern our actions. Because see, as Negro blacks, colored, and Ethiopians, we had no laws to govern our actions. Man can't be a Negro black, colored, and Ethiopian. Because man was made in the image and the likeness of his God, of the great Father God Allah. So we must go into the origin of man, the origin of the Asiatic nations, to see ourselves, to see the history of ourselves. Because even with law and governmental principles, our forefathers were able to do great things. But they was not dealing with the principles of love. They were just dealing with the principles of hate. They weren't dealing with the principles of the higher self. They were dealing with the principles of the lower self. Look at Nimrod. Nimrod built the Tower of Babel. But he was going against God's will, God's command. So we only going back to those eras of time, over 50,000 years, to see what it is that our forefathers did that were in violation of the very law that they say they upholding. That's why the Moorish Scientific America is here to enforce these principles of the Free National Republic based off these divine principles. So we have to be ourselves, Moors. And we're going to do that one day at a time. So we're going to end our meetings like we end our meetings by going through the laws that nobody to tell for each of us so we can build our character. Islam?
Islam.
And with that, we're going to have a donation by Sister Mawia Makari Malbay.
Islam.
Islam.
Act 3. It is the lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able in finance, to aid me in saving the nation. And if he does not, he is an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch you. Let it be he or she, according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, as I have the power invested in my hands, and I will have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. With that, it is time for donations. Islam.
Islam. And while donations is being taken, I'll go and do the readings of the laws. Islam.
Islam.
You know, the Moorish American and my prophet said out of your Sunday school come the guidance of our nation. So in order for our nation to grow, we need members. We need students. We need children. We must become child again. So within the Moorish Scientific America, we like to extend our invitation, open our doors to all those brothers and sisters from all walks of life to come and rejoin your family. Become a part of your family again, the family of nations. But not just the family of nations, the family of the divine nations. Because we are divine beings. And as divine beings, we must have laws to govern our divine actions. Islam?
Islam.
So we want to send an invitation. We open the doors for all those who want to come and be a part of Moorish Scientific America. If you want to, you can see the secretary here on my right, and she'll be able to mark your name down in the Book of Life. Islam?
Islam.
While we take a collection, we're going to the reading of the laws to be proclaimed at every meeting. Islam.
Islam.
I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me in the movement now, by the same people of our side of the nation that claim that it was only a joke. And unreal, but now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as an American citizen. Islam?
Islam.
They are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me, so that they themselves may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that contribute to the movement and the upliftment funds. The ones that pay their divine respects to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finances, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finances so badly as I do at present. So I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation, and it all comes to jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nation of the world will not recognize the movement with I, the prophet, being at the head. It has been proven by my works which I have performed in these last few years. Islam?
Islam.
A warning by the prophet to be read at every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speeches while on their jobs, homes, and on the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards, and the cards are for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be of a severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. Islam?
Islam.
All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet, Noble Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from the simple ways. Peace. Noble Ali.
Peace.
To the members of the Moorish Temple of America, Islam.
Islam.
This is the instructions from your prophet Noble Ali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds, that you will sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now on. But the weak comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet. I, Noble Ali, and this is why many hearts have turned to stone. Many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear. At least they will be confounded about their sins. Islam?
Islam.
These are the trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you will fear not of what you hear or see, but will sacrifice to the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that come to speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and natural principles of your temple. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good works. Peace. Your divine prophet, Noble Ali.
Peace.
Islam.
Islam, we collected 96 notes.
Islam. We collected 96 notes for the Moorish Upliftment Funds. We thank you for your donation, Islam.
Islam.
With our meetings,
Another announcement.
we have an announcement.
I'll give it to you. This is the address of election Atlanta. So you can.
Islam Moors.
Islam.
We have a lecture in Atlanta. The address is 1083 Austin Avenue, Northeast Atlanta, Georgia. Area code is 30307. By, it says, from Brother Arnell Bay. So we're going to make sure that we attend this if we are able to do so. If not, please send your blessings.
The Grand Sheik is doing a lecture
Yes.
in Atlanta. There's actually a summit meeting going on that weekend on Saturday, a Moorish summit meeting that's open to everyone. And the following day on Sunday, we're going to have a lecture, and Grand Sheik Nature is going to be doing the constitutionality of economic security.
So,
And that's what the lecture is going to be on. So if you're interested, you can call the temple here, and we're going to put it's on actually the website.
so.
So let the viewers know that they can go to the website to get the address for those that are in Atlanta, because we do have some online viewers that are from Atlanta.
Yes. The website is www.morrisguidepost.com. Like I said, you can email and blast the Grand Sheik or the Sheikas, and they'll elaborate a little more and give you some information where it'll be a smooth transition. Islam?
Islam.
When all meetings we come out and we close and rise and face the east, where all knowledge come from, Islam.
Islam.
We rise on 7, feet at a 45 degree. Those who don't may say silent in the benediction. All those do may raise and face the east. Repeat after Brother Osman Ali Bey. Islam.
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 May Allah
May Allah
bind our hearts and minds
bind our hearts and minds
back to our ancient forefathers,
back to our ancient forefathers.
divine creed and principles.
Divine creed and principles.
This we ask
This we ask
in thy holy name,
in thy holy name,
in the 7 Elohim.
in the 7 Elohim.
Amen.
Amen.
Greet your
Islam.
brothers and sisters with peace and love.
The meeting is now closed.
Islam.
Islam, Mr. Mo. It's about your documents for you.
Another day, less a dollar.
What day is it?
Trey, what's good?
Saturday and Sunday.
I guess it's
Saturday or
quarterly.
Sunday?
And Sunday.
Oh,
We ain't seen you since December.
Two
You know
different
you're
things.
quarterly, right? You down something?
so you gonna leave Saturday? You leaving Saturday?
I'm probably leaving Friday.
Friday? You'll be back by Monday, Tuesday.
Oh, Durham, yeah. That's what we was out there. We was out there.
Stand by with.